Hello everyone. Today I visited what is known as the Espada Cemetery. It's a cemetery that's on a country road near Mission Espada, and I have never heard of this cemetery before, so I decided to give a quick tour of this place. And right when you walk in, you notice this burial vault. First off, it's supposed to be underground, and then your coffin goes inside it, and then the lid is put on top, and then the dirt is poured on top of that. So I'm not too sure as to why it was there. Hopefully there was no coffin inside, or else somebody should do something about it. So here I am walking towards the gate, and at first I noticed that the bigger gate had a padlock on it, and I told myself if the other gate had a padlock, I wasn't even going to bother climbing over the fence. But luckily, as you could see here, there was no padlock, so I just decided to undo those chains and do a quick video. So here we are, right to your right. There is an old grave right there. The grass was pretty overgrown on this side for some reason. And here you see the name Pena. No year of birth or year of death on it. So you can tell this grave is very old. The cross was already laying down like that. And on the tombstone here, you can't really tell, but it had the last name of Trevino, and the person was born in 1860 and died in 1915. I didn't really want to venture too much through this area. With the high grass, there might be a risk of snakes or rattlesnakes hiding. But these graves dated back from the 1950s to the 1970s. Over on this side here, you could tell it's more well kept. I'm not sure as to why. And you could tell that the cemetery goes pretty far back. It's not that big of a cemetery. In this area right here, you have, it looks like the Garza family. So right before you walk into the cemetery, there is a house on your left side. And while I was here, I was thinking, is the person who lives there watching over me? Are they wondering why a guy like me is recording in a cemetery? And I kind of had to think real quick of excuses as to why, just in case if I got stopped, I would have said like, well, I'm just doing a genealogy search here, or I'm just visiting a loved one and just recording my findings on camera. There were a few graves in this side that were recent. This one right here died about 4 years ago, and you can see it's very well decorated. And there was another grave that we're walking to right now. This person died sometime in 2018. I couldn't tell what month it was because it was in Spanish, so if you could tell, please let me know. Again, very nicely decorated. This isn't really an abandoned cemetery, if you will. This grave right here, if I'm not mistaken, was a child's grave. They had some cars placed on top of the tombstone there. So this cemetery is very well hidden. I mistakenly found it while I was doing a search on Google Maps. And you don't really see cemeteries like this around San Antonio. You have San Fernando Cemetery and Mission Park, and this cemetery just felt really close-knit and very personal. Right here, I noticed that a frog landed like right in front of me. Get a close-up view. So I was definitely not alone. Walking ahead here, I noticed that there was a bunch of dirt around this grassy area, and when I walked towards this area here, I noticed that one of the gravestones was sunken underground. So there was no way of telling who is buried there. There's another similar cross right next to it. And I tried to read the description, but the lettering was so weathered, I couldn't even make out the year of birth or year of death. There were a lot of tombstones like that around the cemetery. Here we have a tombstone that is toppled down, and this person died in 1878, age 24. And from what I saw, that might have been the oldest grave there. That whole little plot right there actually might be the first area where they buried their loved ones right there. Here we have an overgrown plant on top of a grave. I was trying to look for a tombstone. Finally, I found the tombstone, and the person died back in 1964. This grave right here had a little bench made for this person. Very well decorated. The decorations looked kind of old. They also had some Halloween lanterns hanging on the tree above it. Wasn't really sure if those were from this year or from past Halloweens. For some reason here, I was really fixated on that statue that you just saw of the Virgin Mary, I'm assuming. There's another old tombstone and a bunch of other little tombstones there. And I pointed out that graves today don't have wrought iron fences around a grave plot. That's something, that I guess they did back then. It was very fancy for their time. And this person here, I believe, died back in 1912. And I noticed to my left here, there was a last name of Huron, forgive me, I don't speak Spanish very well. So there was a Huron family there, and this grave here was all the Diaz family. And then straight ahead and to your left is the Luna family. So it made me think that maybe, there were once upon a time a neighborhood or maybe some farmland nearby was owned by the Diaz or the Lunas or even the Garzas that are all buried in the front of the gate. Here are some more older graves here with the wrought iron fence. What's really nice about this cemetery is that almost every grave still has decorations on it. I really do enjoy visiting these small cemeteries. Again, it's not like your ordinary San Fernando cemetery or Mission Park. This cemetery is very personal and very close-knit. In a way, too, it's kind of eerie because, when you go to like a bigger cemetery, there are other people visiting their loved ones, and here it's very quiet. You get lost in thought sometimes with how quiet it is. So this is pretty much it for the tour of this cemetery. Feel free to check out my other videos from the Chinese graveyard as well as the Saints Oakwood Cemetery. and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again.